Sudhana encounters Avalokiteshvara from the Avatamsaka Sutra, translated by Cleary. Entering the treasury of zealous application of enlightening beings, remembering the power of mindfulness of enlightening beings, remembering the power of the succession of enlightened guides, realizing the unbroken continuity of Buddhas, remembering the progression of the hearing of the names of Buddhas, following the principles of the teachings of the Buddhas, entering into the array of collective practice of the Buddha teachings, intent on the exclamation made by Buddhas on becoming perfectly enlightened, focusing his attention on the inconceivable action of Buddhas, Sudhana made his way to Mount Potalaka. Climbing the mountain, he looked around for Avalokiteshvara and saw him on a plateau on the west side of the mountain, which was adorned with springs, ponds, and streams, sitting wakefully on a diamond boulder in a clearing in a large woods, surrounded by a group of enlightening beings seated on various jewel rocks, to whom he was expounding a doctrine called Light of the Medium of Great Love and Compassion, which concerns the salvation of all sentient beings. Transported with joy on seeing Avalokiteshvara, his eyes fixed on him, his mind undistracted, full of the energy of faith in the spiritual benefactor, thinking of seeing spiritual benefactors as at once seeing Buddhas, thinking of reception of the multitudes of all truths as originating in spiritual benefactors, thinking of the attainment of all virtues as deriving from spiritual benefactors, thinking of how hard it is to meet spiritual benefactors, thinking of spiritual benefactors as the source from which the jewels of knowledge of the 10 powers are obtained, thinking of spiritual benefactors as the source of vision of inexhaustible knowledge, thinking that the growth of the sprouts of goodness depends on spiritual benefactors, thinking that the door of omniscience is revealed by spiritual benefactors, thinking that the way to enter the ocean of great knowledge is pointed out by spiritual benefactors, thinking that the accumulation of the store of omniscience is fostered by spiritual benefactors, Sudhana went up to Avalokiteshvara. The enlightening being Avalokiteshvara, seeing Sudhana approaching in the distance, said, "Welcome, you who have set out on the incomparable, lofty, inconceivable great vehicle, intending to save all beings who are oppressed by various firmly rooted miseries and have no refuge, seeking to directly experience all the teachings of the Buddha, which are beyond all worlds, incomparable and immeasurable, you who are filled with the energy of great compassion, determined to liberate all sentient beings, directed toward practice of the vision of universal good, intent on purifying the sphere of great vows, born of the ocean of knowledge of Manjushri, correctly proceeding on the instructions of spiritual benefactors, with the tireless will to build up roots of goodness, seeking to retain the multitudes of teachings of all Buddhas. A mine of lotuses of virtue, fit to receive the empowerment of Buddhas, imbued with the energy of the light of concentration, seeking to keep in mind the teachings of all Buddhas, thrilled with the joy of the vision of Buddhas, your mind expanded by the incalculable energy of achievement of virtue, wishing to reveal to others the power of the measure of omniscience to which you have access through your own mystic knowledge, determined to sustain the energy of light of knowledge of Buddhas, firmly rooted in the power of great compassion." Then Sudhana went up to Avalokiteshvara, paid his respects, and said, "Noble one, I have set my mind on supreme, perfect enlightenment, but I do not know how to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings. I hear you give enlightening beings instruction, and I ask you to tell me how to learn and carry out the practice of enlightening beings." Avalokiteshvara said, "It is good that you aspire to supreme perfect enlightenment. I know a way of enlightening practice called undertaking great compassion without delay, which sets about impartially guiding all sentient beings to perfection, dedicated to protecting and guiding sentient beings by communicating knowledge to them through all media. Established in this method of enlightening practice, undertaking great compassion without delay, I appear in the midst of the activities of all sentient beings without leaving the presence of all Buddhas, and take care of them by means of generosity, kind speech, beneficial actions, and cooperation. I also develop sentient beings by appearing in various forms. I gladden and develop them by purity of vision of inconceivable forms radiating auras of light, and I take care of them and develop them by speaking to them according to their mentalities, and by showing conduct according to their inclinations, and by magically producing various forms, and by teaching them doctrines commensurate with their various interests, and by inspiring them to begin to accumulate good qualities, by showing them projection according to their mentalities, by appearing to them as members of their own various races and conditions, and by living together with them. Perfecting this practice of unhesitating compassion, I have vowed to be a refuge for all sentient beings, to free them from fears of calamity, threat, confusion, bondage, attacks on their lives, insufficiency of means to support life, inability to make a living, ill repute, the perils of life, intimidation by the crowd, death, miserable conditions, unknown hardships, servitude, separation from loved ones, living with the uncongenial, physical violence, mental violence, sorrow, and depression. I have undertaken a vow to be a refuge for all sentient beings from all these fears and perils. I have also caused a way of remembrance to appear in all worlds, to extinguish the fears of all beings. I have caused my name to be known in all worlds, to drive away the fears of all beings. I have caused the tranquility of all beings in endless forms to appear in my body, to communicate to all beings individually according to the time. By this means I release beings from all fears, inspire them to seek supreme enlightenment, and cause them never to regress in the attainment of the qualities of Buddhas. I have only attained this way of enlightening practice through unhesitating great compassion. How can I know the practice or tell of the virtues of the universally good, enlightening beings who have perfected the vows of all enlightened ones, who have gone the way of the practice of the universally good, enlightening being, who are uninterrupted streams of performance of good works, who are always focused on the perception of the concentrations of enlightening beings, who continue their practice without deviation or regression through all ages, who continuously adapt to the times everywhere, who are familiar with the changing currents in all worlds, who continuously work to extinguish all sentient beings' bad thoughts and to increase their good thoughts, who continuously work to turn all sentient beings away from the repetitious circles of the mundane world. Then this was said: I know a gate of liberation, the embryo of knowledge, of clouds of compassion of all Buddhas, born of my own love and operating everywhere to protect and care for all beings. I protect all beings from many disasters. Those caught in the grip of enemies, physically injured and imprisoned, are freed from their bonds on hearing my name. Arrows shot at the condemned do not wound them. Weapons break and swords are deflected if they remember my name. In disputes among kings, those who remember my name defeat their adversaries and gain what is good, increase in repute among friends and relatives, and their property becomes inviolable. Any who remember my name go without fear to forests infested with bandits and wild animals, conquering all enemies. For those who are thrown from a mountain into burning coals by malefactors to harm them, the flames become lotus sprouts in a pond of water if they remember my name. Thrown into the sea they will not die, nor will they be swept away by a river or burned in fire. No harm will come to them, but rather benefit instead, if they remember my name even for a while. From fetters, chains, and beatings, scorn, humiliation, and constraint, abuse, whipping, threats, and scolding, those who remember my name will gain release. The inimical fault finders, those who always maliciously slander, become friendly on sight when they hear my name remembered. Evil magicians trying to kill them are appeased, and no poison can injure those who remember my name. Malicious spirits, fiends, demons, and goblins, life-sapping, dangerous, are all quelled even in dreams once my name is recalled. One will not be separated from family and friends, or be joined with the unfriendly, or become materially destitute, if one remembers my name even for a while. Those who remember my name will not go to hell, or become animals, or ghosts, or fall into other unfavorable states. They will be reborn as celestial or human, purified beings. People remembering my name will not be blind, deaf, or infirm. They will not be violent, but friendly and sound in mind and body for countless ages. Those who scatter a handful of flowers over me, calling my name, go to my refuge of bliss. Those who give me offerings with a clear mind will be worthy of receiving offerings in my Buddha land. Purified beings passing away are born there, face to face with the Buddhas of all worlds. Those who remember my name see the Buddhas and hear their teaching. By this and infinite other means, I guide sentient beings in the world.